And I think we're live. Let me just check that we're live. Okay. How can I check that I'm live? Present. Wait, let me see, Vedika. Okay, I will close the screen now just to make sure that this is working. Yes, it's working. I think so. Fantastic. I think we're live. We're live on my Facebook. So, yeah, let me just see if I can share this. Copy link. I don't want the edit audience. I want this to be public. Okay.
So we'll be here only for the live in this platform?
Yes, and we will be here exactly as we're planning. We will do everything as planned, and now I'm just gonna share the link. Here's the link to the live, to the group.
Okay. And here will be people coming in here only?
Yes, and they will be, I mean, not as guests, but they will be able to hear us. So right now people are hearing us, and there are 2 people watching us. Yes. Okay. So are you excited? Let's get going. Yeah. So hello and welcome, everybody. I'm so very excited to be with Vedika today to create this live. Yes, we have planned a lot of cool stuff. I just want to say we're very sorry for the technical issue. It's always my problem with the technical stuff. So I plan to go on the Facebook group, but unfortunately, I didn't know how to bring V on. So yes, we did it now differently. So thank you so very much. I promise that we will create this event to be super exciting for you. And let me just tell you a little bit about what we're doing here today. So the name of our live is From Struggling to Freedom, Breaking Down the Complexity of the Career Success. And we want you to be informed about the different career pathways of development here in Germany. And our intention as a team is to bring you closer towards whatever it is that you want to achieve in terms of your career and your life. So Vedika will be introducing herself in a minute. She will be moderating this live with me. So Vedika, please tell us a little bit about yourself and welcome.
Yes, thank you so much. And first of all, I would want to thank you to give me this opportunity here. I think it's a great start for me also. So yes, I would introduce myself now. So my name is Vedika, and I have studied management and psychology for 7 years. And I have a double master's degree, one in applied psychology, which I did in India, and this one is business psychology and management, which I am doing in Germany. So I am here in Germany and I've stayed here for 2 years. One thing that has fascinated me in my life is how do people behave in different circumstances or in the same circumstance. So people's behavior is something that is very interesting for me. And similarly, in our life, I think even when we're talking about our work culture, we have people in the same environment. And what I think is lacking right now is people, they don't know what a good HR is. And that's something that I am devoted and I'm trying to figure it out also. So I would want to support businesses and corporates with the employee development and talent management in a way where they can have a more productive and a more powerful working culture for better results.
Nice. Okay, thank you very much. So actually, guys, V is my intern, and we're co-creating this awesome project together. And I'm really, I'm very happy to be with you here doing this live. So just for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sarah, and I have been here in Germany for 12 years. I did my master's and my PhD. I took all the way, from the road of employment in Germany, from student to employed to unemployed to having like a freelancing activity and then owning my company. So that's what I do for a living. I own a coaching and training development company in Berlin. And so all along, I've been having huge challenges throughout my career development and throughout the several steps of, like accelerating through my career pathway. And amongst the challenges that I faced is all the way from depression to burnout. Actually, burnout was the first. And then I discovered coaching as a developmental pathway for my career success. And so my biggest passion here today and every day that I do this job, is to really help people like accelerate their own careers, to experience this joy, this confidence of building a career that they're proud of, and at the same time, just doing really well and getting results. So I have, like, for so long, I have thought, okay, it's either results or my happiness and my well-being. But actually, with coaching, I've really experienced both, and I continue to experience both every day. And that's like a real blessing for me. And that's what I want to share with other people. So, here's how this live will work. We have prepped some questions for you, and we encourage you to ask your questions in the comments below and share your insights and takeaways in the chat. And at the end, we will spend some time to go through your questions and answer them thoroughly. So please, Vedika, go ahead. You're muted, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. So, technology. So I think since we have talked also about our intentions, and I think it's important for us and everyone to know as to why do you think that we actually struggle here when we are in a new country.
Yeah. So it actually answering this question took me a very long time, because I've only recently discovered the answer to this. So you know how, I don't know if you've ever got it in school, the life cycle of a butterfly. Do you know this? Yes. By the way, you're muted. It's good that I think
Sorry.
you. Yes. No worries. So do you know this from larva? From embryo to larva, and then from larva to pupa, and then from pupa to a butterfly. So it's like there are different developmental stages in which the animal basically grows from one thing to the next and evolves from one phase to the next. So I've studied this as a scientist, and I've had it at the back of my mind. And then I think maybe 2 years ago, when I started doing this work and I started looking at other people as well, I really understood that it's like moving to a new country is a huge change in one's life experience. So you kind of get out of your comfort zone, not that you want to, you're kind of forced into it. You change a lot of the circumstances around you. Sometimes it even starts with the language, that thing that, we use to establish relatedness to each other, So that's like most of the time here in Germany, we come to Germany to speak German. And obviously in our home countries, we don't speak German at all. So it's really, the environment becomes so different. And therefore, our brains start to struggle in many different ways, right? So it's like, oh my God, I feel alone here, or this is so weird for me, or whatever it is that the brain starts doing. But the point is, it starts dealing with the change in a different way. And our failure to understand that change, deal with it, adapt to it, that leads to us actually struggling a lot in our lives. So if we want to sum this up, we will say, you know, how we're taught change management in organizations. Yeah, it's a big topic, right? But the problem is that we're not used to, in our schools, we're not like used to teaching change in individuals, in our behaviors, in our feelings, in our thoughts, how our thoughts become different, you know, when we move countries, when we're surrounded suddenly by everybody else who speaks a different language, a different way of doing paperwork, the struggles to get accommodation, like all of these things that we had like granted, I would say, we also in most cases took it for granted. We come here and it's like a whole new journey of starting from zero. And so all of this struggle really actually presents a huge burden to the brain. And without acknowledging it, knowing how to deal with it, and navigating through it and becoming adaptable, you kind of fail to go to the next developmental stage. Does that make sense? So you know how the embryo to larva, so like really it's really like that. You kind of start at a larval stage and then you go to a pupa because you toughen up with all of the challenges that you do, and then you're stuck. And then you don't know what to do. You know, and that's really the role of this conversation and of the education around the theme change management. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this was very interesting. As you have, I think you previously also mentioned as how we are like we're starting from zero now, and now we are anyways in a new place. So, my next question to you would be, why is it like so difficult to succeed then in a new country, even though when we are back home we are
Yeah.
still in a better place, and then why is like we acknowledge the change, but then why there's a sudden drop off, like just
Yeah, let me see if I
individuality there.
can. Yes, thank you for asking this question. Let me see if we can. I don't think we can. Okay, I wanted to draw something, but I don't think we can here. But let me answer this. As so do you know about, I told you this also in our training, like Maslow's pyramid of needs. Do you know this?
Yeah.
So basically, this is a pyramid. And in this pyramid, there are the different human needs according to what's most basic, and then what's becomes a desire and like a need that maybe you don't need it, but it's like you would love to have it. So again, from a need to a desire. And in the bottom layer of this, there is the physiological needs. So, like the need for food, for drink, for breathing, and all of this. And then in the layer above, there is the safety and security needs. So it's really living in a safe country, living under a roof, in accommodation, like all of these conversations. And then afterwards there is the self-esteem, no, there is the connect, like the belonging and connection. So it's really the desire to connect with people around you, to your family, to form relationships and stuff like this. And then there is the self-esteem layer. So this is the layer where you kind of prove yourself to be, you know, capable of something at work. Let's say, you know, you have self-worth, and you're worth something out there to somebody or to a project. And then there's the self-actualization, where you're unleashing your inner potential, basically. And that's like the best experience of being alive. So I know this Maslow's pyramid of needs since I was in high school, but I did not really understand how do my life experience relate to it. And then after doing this, all of this reflective work that I do as I myself get coached and go deeper and deeper with myself, I realize that when we move countries, what happens is we're moving, most of us. So that is the people who are not refugees, they're the skilled workers, the talented people, and so on, who are just moving countries because they want to have a better future. So most of us in this situation have left our countries at the layer of self-esteem. So we have proved ourselves capable in our, careers. We want to do more. We want to build a better future and so on. And then we come here to Germany. And then suddenly you lose this connection, you lose this belonging, you lose, the accommodation. You don't have any, you don't know how long are you going to stay in the country. You don't know this and that. You cannot even speak the language. You don't feel like you're related to people. And so you really fall off Maslow's pyramids of needs. And then you start getting stuck wherever it is that you're stuck. And in most cases, especially for women, but also it's so valid for men, that they lose the safety to their environment. So they start, even though it is physically, it is a safe environment, but mentally, how the brain is perceiving it, it's not a safe environment anymore. And that's why we struggle to succeed in a new country. Yeah, even though we have proved ourselves successful before. So what we really want to do here is to first bring awareness about this process that's happening, about where we're at in Maslow's pyramids of needs. And then we want to see, okay, what is it that we want to achieve in terms of a vision? Like, where do we want to go? Yeah, so right now I find myself here in Germany. I find myself in the layer of I'm not safe. And by the way, like a lot of second generation Germans, for example, they have the same experience, even though they could call this place home. But for many reasons, the brain does not behave very logically. So it has some certain experiences that it gets stuck in, and then it's not able to move on. Does that make sense? And that's really how we mentally struggle with this, and how it's really difficult for us to step out of the struggle that is quite unknown for us as talented people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you want to say any reflections on this?
Yes. So I think because I did study about this theory in my high school time, it was something that I knew what it was all about, like the concept, like what is it saying, the definition. But I think after you explained it, and I could really relate to it, that yes, I I was at maybe at self-esteem level in my own country, where I had basic necessities, I had my people, I had education also, I could work, security in that way. But then the sudden shift really made me like go down, and I that time I could not really understand what was happening. It was because everything was happening so fast, and it was like, okay, maybe I think something that is very interesting that people told me was they would just blame it on the German weather, like, it's dull, and maybe that is why you're feeling so low. But I think now I get it why maybe the low feeling was. And once
Yeah.
reflecting, I think I would like to like look more further into, so I can reflect in a more better way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is like
100%.
very
Yeah.
interesting.
100%. And I think when we talk about safety, there is something that the environment could facilitate. So I'm speaking, I don't know if some HR people will be watching this or whatever, like some decision makers, but there is a rule to the environment. So not to make it very difficult for people to adapt. And there is a role over there in the human as well. So for the human to be educated that this change is only something to be managed, is not something to be frozen and get stuck by. So I have to say something that I wanted to say earlier is when people like experience change, their ability to take decisions is very much compromised. So, and that's the real reason why we're here in this conversation. Like I think 2 weeks ago or something, I talked to somebody who is having like a panic attack, and they were actually in the hospital at a time when I talked to them. And I was like, can you please send me an overview about your situation? And just for me to understand, are you really physically and mentally not well? Or it's like your brain is not well because there is a crisis situation, and therefore your brain is just deciding in an ineffective way. And then when I heard the story about what happened at the job and that they suddenly got like kicked out of the job and everything, that just and then what happened is they kind of got isolated even more. They locked themselves up in a room. So that kind of made perfect sense to me. Why would they end up in a hospital? Because it's not that they're intrinsically inherently sick, but their like circumstances and their lack of education and self-awareness had led them to take wrong decisions, like how to deal with the circumstance of being kicked out. So they were not informed. So they got isolated. They stayed alone. They wasted their time. And then it was more like crisis, crisis, crisis over there in the brain. And then, of course, when you have the pressure cooker and then you're putting in so much pressure, then what happens is there's an explosion. And that is what it is. And it's not wrong. It's not a mental disease. It's just a lack of education and self-awareness that if we have both of these factors, then the person will be able to navigate much better and much, in a much easier and in flow way. That's what I want to say here. Yeah.
So that is definitely very interesting, and I would really want to reflect more on this in where I'm actually standing on like with my career in terms and how do I really feel about it. So like what would you like recommend me in that way where I know where I am actually standing in the line?
So actually, but because we did this exercise together, so let's give the people the chance to do the exercise, right? Yeah, so we talked about this
Definitely.
when we were preparing, right? So do you want to tell them like in a slow fashion, bit by bit, what could be in the what is the exercise? So maybe you guys want to bring a pen and paper because V is gonna create an exercise with you now, and we have thought about giving you this exercise to give you a self-reflection tool in order to see where are you at with your career and what's actually really blocking you. So V, go for it.
Yes. So the exercise that we'll be doing here would be a self-reflective one, as already mentioned, where we'll basically will be putting on where we stand in terms of our career and how we feel and the results that we have would be could be self-esteem or confidence, and then we'll talk about the information we have about the different situation and strategy on how
Yeah.
we can get ourselves out of the situation. So the way here the way we'll be actually ranking it would be in a scale 1 to 10, or if people are more visual, we could also use a color like a whip gear, a rainbow, and then we can select on which color we are actually
Yeah.
are now in present.
Okay, just let's pause here. Let's explain it even further to people because I want to make sure that people understand this very well. Okay. Thank you so much, though. So, guys, let's bring a sheet of paper. And what we want to do is we want to, like create columns in that sheet of paper. So the first column is the first thing is the theme is our career, right? So that we write in the middle of the paper. And then in the first column, we write, how do we feel about our career right now? Is it good or bad? Are you overwhelmed? Are you frustrated? Do you have you feel that there is more, but you're not able to reach it? Do you feel burnt out? Are you panicking? Whatever feelings that you have, about this, are you satisfied? Whatever it is, basically. So just let's take a minute to write down. Okay. And that would be in the first column. And then in the second column, we will have the result that we have in terms of actual things that we have. So, for example, Vedika has a master's degree. She has right now, how is it called? Like a space between the master's and the job search visa or something, right? She has this kind of visa to stay in Germany. So, whatever things that you actually have, you want to write it down in this column. And then in the third column, what you want to share for yourself here and open up is your level of self-esteem or your level of confidence. So how much do you feel that you're worth a great career? How much are you confident in your ability to create a great career? And by the way, just because I know a lot of people as human beings, we tend to lie and make ourselves, like, how can I say? We tend to not tell the truth to ourselves, but as my coach would say, the truth will set you free. So take a moment to give yourself the permission to be really open and self-reflective, and to see for yourself, what is it that you tell yourself when you're alone? What is this voice telling you? Where's the source of the fight? Okay. And then in the next column, what you want to write down is the information that you have about your specific career situation. So whether this is you're looking to create the first job in Germany, how informed are you about like job search, about networking, about how the CV must look like, whatever it is. If you want to get a promotion, how informed are you about what comes, after the promotion? So the new position, the responsibilities. How will you pitch yourself to earn these responsibilities? What in your life experience so far has shown you as credible to take this promotion? Whatever it is. Again, when you want to like shift a career, when you have this career shift that you're thinking of, say you want to have a business or you want to really shift a career. By the way, I was a scientist and then I started having a coaching company. So I shifted not my skill set, but I shifted the thing that I was doing. But I definitely used every bit of what made me a good scientist into this career. So you want to really, reflect on this and say, what kind of information do I have about this, dealing with the situation that I'm in? Yesterday, for example, I read this post from a beautiful lady who was like, I'm stuck. I want to start a PhD and I'm going to be kicked out of my accommodation and I cannot find anything else. And I feel so overwhelmed, blah, 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 right? It's like a very typical situation. Unfortunately, here in Germany, I cannot speak for other European countries, but I can say, unfortunately, here in Germany. So what you want to ask yourself is, okay, like, am I informed on where to get short-term accommodation from, for example? Or how to prolong, is there a way to prolong my contract with the Studentenwerk, so with the facility, student facility? If not, then what is my plan B? Yeah, who can help me with plan B? So where can I find this information that will help me navigate the situation, basically? Okay, I'm gonna write it down in the chat in a moment so that people are actually following. And then in the meantime, as I write it down, let me just tell you the last bit of it is your vision for your career. So like Ewigkeit before, so like eternity before you came to Germany, you had a vision for yourself and your life. You had a vision for what is it that you love to do, what is it that you want to do, and say you're now stuck, and that's okay to be stuck. Yeah, it's not wrong, because it's just, again, like we said, it's the journey of evolution that you're having. So now the question is, what is it that you want to create if all of these things around you get solved, and then you have the liberty to choose something and to commit yourself to something new? So let me just type in here and pin this comment. So I'm just gonna have people pin this. Yes, I don't know if I can pin this, but okay, I think I can. Yeah, I have it now in the, if you want to follow. Okay, I have it in one of the comments. Great. So now what you just want to do is you want to allow yourself to scale, to give yourself from 1 to 10, what's a number? So 1 is the worst and 10 is the best case scenario. So where are you at? And you can first write all of your feelings and all of your things and whatever, and then you can scale it or rate it, let's say. So that would be the first step. And for the visual people who feel like, they're really good with colors and stuff, what I would say is, I'm also very good with colors, so that's why I always have colors next to me. But what I would say is you could use the rainbow colors to highlight whether this is a crisis situation, so like red. And then if you have like violet at the end of the spectrum, so this is like something I could chill about, for example, or something I'm satisfied with. Okay. So one thing that I train my interns on, and I believe that this is one of the most basic human tools that unfortunately we were not educated on, is this exercise that is teaching ourselves and getting ourselves present to what is the difference between how we feel and what do we have in life right now. So there are two distinct things. So let's say, for example, you are stuck. That's like, wait, let me just put this down. That's an outcome of the situation. You're stuck in your career. Okay, got it. So now tell me, what do you have here? Like, do you have no contract? Do you have 2-month contract? Do you have a new degree? Do you have like applying for 1,000 jobs? What is it that you have in this year? And how do you feel about it? So if you're stuck, you're probably feeling sad, upset, frustrated, angry about something. And that's what you want to separate and distinguish for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so the more that your brain at any given moment realizes the difference between both quadrants, let's say, what you think and how you feel about it, the more your brain is going to be able to execute on decisions in an effective way. So it's like this thing that everybody says in the job market, doing data informed decisions. So basically what I want from V as my employee is to be able to take data informed decisions. That's what they mean. Data that is not based on what I feel, how I feel, what did I wake up to see the weather like today, but data that is grounded into what I have. What kind of insights do I see here? Because we know from our human experience that data that is, or anything that is backed up with performance, is a lot better than how we feel in most cases. Does that make sense? Because if our environment is very low, then naturally we will be feeling very low. And therefore the decisions will come from a low energy place. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Nice. Yes, fantastic. So I know that you did this yesterday with me, and I just want to, can you please share with us some reflections on where you stood yesterday when you did this exercise with me and what it opened up for you in your vision?
Yes. So I did the same thing now also when you were asking me to ask to do. So now when I'm
Yes.
reflecting back from my thoughts about yesterday, I think I said it was around 7. Like that was my best. Like I was standing somewhere in between the middle area, because I told you that I didn't wanted to see myself in the worst category, nor I wanted to see in my best category, but somewhere in the middle, which motivates me also and doesn't demotivates me. But now I think after having a clear, I mean, a more better understanding of where I am actually standing, it's around like maybe at this point, I because I just finished my master's yesterday, like I gave my colloquial, so I am currently at like 10, oh sorry, 8, like 8 out of 10. So I am
Yeah,
still, I don't think my situation is in the red zone at
great.
this point, because as we talked about vision, my vision before coming to Germany was to get a master's degree. So around
Nice.
that time, for that tenure, I think I am satisfied with where I am currently. However, I have my future to also this, like, to think about where I am going. But
Yeah,
because I think yesterday it was a lot of pessimistic, or more like I was just talking about how I'm struggling with not finding a place. I'm not sure if I have to do PhD and all. But after talking to you, I think, first of all, I think it's always very great when we talk, because I personally get a better understanding of where I am standing. And that really helped me in making my own decisions. So now my next vision for the upcoming few years would be patiently applying for jobs and not getting frustrated.
yeah.
And then, most probably, if I am more optimistic in that situation, I think I can do it.
I
So,
100%. Otherwise, you wouldn't be interning with me, right? That's just that we're clear. Okay. So if I don't see that you're very committed and you have a great talent as a human being, I absolutely would not second that, but I definitely second that. Yes, I think that. So, Vedika, what you have is something that I had for many, many years. And it's something, unfortunately, let me step back a little bit and say, and that's the truth. Okay, I don't care. My opinion is doesn't have any weight out there in life. I'm just telling you the reflections of the many people I've worked with and of being in this situation as well, and what I could give you as like insights and to for you to create your own space and your own future. So right now, Germany is a very attractive place to study. And so you have people from all sorts of life and all sorts of walks of life. They're coming to study with an invitation that they will have a future after studying in their career. But the problem is that when people come from their home and they experience this stuck in the system here, and they lack the education and the self awareness to navigate that, they kind of like push it down. And then they start like saying, okay, I'm gonna be strong, I'm gonna go through this, and then it doesn't turn up, and it doesn't turn up like they wanted. And so it's really a matter of time before people find themselves stuck in their old ways. And this has personally happened to me. You know, I took like I remember my coach said, oh my God, how strong you are. You suffered for 7 consecutive years without like saying, like screaming pain. It's just like I really put myself down, and like I was like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And at the end, I couldn't do it anymore. And that's when most people, or where most people get stopped. They're like, oh my God, we're failures, we're losers, we're not the same anymore, I don't know myself. And that's completely, if people get that that's completely normal, it is actually a normal part of the process, that you're here in this new country, in this different system, regardless of all the difficulties that there are. And I don't agree with them, but who cares about my opinion, in the German system, things could be much more smoother and more in flow, and they could really make some effort to make it better for people. But it's not, we're not talking to them right now, we're talking about us and where we stand. And when we realize that it's completely okay for those old ways of like actions, old ways of creating relationships with people, old ways of distrust, overwhelm, like things of doing life that we used to do at home that maybe were kind of okay. They were not the best, but they were okay. And then when you just let go of that and you say, okay, I'm giving up that this is a good, way of doing things. Let me just see, how can I be informed? How can I educate myself to grow my confidence? From my experience, us as expat talent, we have a lot of intrinsic talent and we're very visionary in what we do, but we lack the consistency. We lack the system. And so when we want to learn, and combine the best of both worlds, we kind of make ourselves wrong, or we face resistance from the environment, or we start struggling and all of that. And therefore, we don't get the chance to really be like, okay, I'm going to integrate everything I know to be better. And if you just stop what you're doing right now and you acknowledge yourself for going through this process, it's not an easy process. I do this when I'm alone. I don't have any family here. So it's really like I cannot even imagine how it's like for somebody to walk away to a new country from a war zone. I cannot even imagine how could this be like, because already as a human being with no family, it's very like this. And that's just something that we want to open up the space for people to acknowledge and get that that's completely normal. And now what? If you just say, that's normal, it's part of the process, I'm stuck, and that's okay to be stuck, now what? If you focus on now what and like give yourself the liberty to decide something different, to give yourself a new decision or a new pathway to be informed or a new strategy or whatever, this is when your future is going to change. And that is exactly what happened with me. I remember sitting on my bed and I was like, how can my life be so bad? Like, I cannot be depressed. That's not okay. I'm already struggling so much. I remember this so clearly. And it's like, look, I don't know, like I think humans have this kind of lamp, and then it's the source of happiness, basically. It's what makes you smile. But I had this lamp shut off. I couldn't experience, it was super empty here. And then I was like, I need to get, like, I said, I cannot do like this anymore. Something has to change. And I didn't know what, but I decided that something has to change. And because I decided something has to change, and I was honest to myself about it, I told the truth. That's when I met the next person who was able to change my life. And that's when I met the person after, and so on and so forth. So that's really how we start this conversation, like one decision, one moment of truth in which you take a new decision that then shapes your future. That's basically, yeah. So thank you for this feedback.
Thank you. I think that is very interesting. And first of all, personally, I would want to say the more I do stuff like that, like more reflective things, the more better understanding I get from where I am standing at this point.
Yeah.
But I also have, like, since we already talked about that, okay, now we know the change, there is something happening in our life. And yes, sometimes we might acknowledge it, sometimes with circumstances we might just either denial it, like we'll just deny it or we'll just disregard it. So when we are actually struggling in the career or even like personally, what should I actually prioritize, and how I can manage the, that disturbance between the conflict, and like how I can easily move forward in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a very important question in terms of reflecting to take a decision, because the moment that you know where the biggest challenge is at, like what's the source of it, the moment that you can give yourself the liberty to take that decision. So to start answering this question, we basically want to say that there's a difference between several things that are happening to you as a human being right now. So there is your brain and how your brain perceives life. So your brain right now is sitting in a room, and you are surrounded by, I don't know, walls maybe, and those walls have pictures, and those pictures trigger your memories, and you have some object in front of you. So that's like the experience of your brain. And that's basically where we get stuck, because a lot of times the brain reads things that says it's dangerous, but it isn't. So let's say you're experiencing overwhelm when you're changing accommodation. So you are changing accommodation. You don't know. This is a situation I experienced a lot, by the way. I don't know where I would be at the end of the month. I don't have a long-term solution. So I need to change places. I need to move everything that I have, like stuff like this. So if I was not being coached and trained regularly, I want you to know that I have changed places 15 times the last 2 years. Like I started from like something that is so close to the border of Poland. It's like near Schönefeld. That's like, near Poland, I guess, all the way to Spandau. That's like on the other side of the U-Bahn, and I took everything in the middle. Yes, it was such a messy situation because I was not able to find a long-term solution. Had I not been coached and trained so well, the frustration was there. I was very tired, especially when I had to move once every month. But like my brain was able to deal with it better, because every time my brain would say, oh my God, I feel dangerous, it's not safe, I would be like, okay, show me what you're looking at, where are you seeing stuff, okay, what can I do about this here, can I get a friend to back me up, can I get somebody to help me with the stuff. So the more that I was okay with understanding and listening and seeing what the brain says that is wrong or it shouldn't be or whatever, the more that I was calm with myself, the calmer that I was with myself, the better that I could understand the situation that I'm in, and the better informed I was on how to take a decision. Does that make sense? So that's like the
Yes.
whole mess in the brain, because I say it's a mess because a lot of times it is. And that's why we are overwhelmed, anxious. So many expats move countries, and then suddenly they have, okay, not maybe in the first year, but XXX, like 2 years, 3 years, they start having panic attacks. And then they start looking at themselves as sick people. No, guys, you're not sick. You don't have a disease. So when you're panicking and you have a panic attack, it's because your brain is reading out signals that your environment is dangerous. And so when you start getting the training on how to neutralize this danger and how to re-talk to your brain that is actually safe and you're not harmed, and sometimes there is this lack of trust that you could start addressing with other strategies, that's when you calm your brain down. Basically, that's when you're able to take a better decision. So there's that part of the brain. And the second part of this is the strategy. So like, what is going on? What am I doing about it? How does the environment that I'm in perceive, let me tell you. So I wanted to pray many years ago, and I was like really, I felt super unsafe in every lab that I've been. I felt really judged from all the looks and stuff like this. And I kind of like put myself in a corner in a room, and I wanted to pray. So I put the thing that I pray on the mat, and I just started praying. And then everybody was looking at me like, I would bomb the thing or whatever. And then I talked to my friend afterwards, who then later became my friend, and we talked about this. And he was like, it's just not in the environment. that, you can just do that. So when I understood that environmental thing, and I respect it, like I respect other people as well, and I don't want to annoy or force myself to other people. So then when I got what's in my environment and I got how they perceive it and stuff, I just like got it. I thanked him for the feedback, and I took myself somewhere else to do, what I want to do, basically. So when people get the environment in a calm way, and when they get what most people around them see, you're not going to be able to control people around you, but you can definitely understand where the standard is, the cultural standard, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, and stuff like this. And if you can align yourself with what's acceptable, then okay, great. Then you will have like an easier, smoother transition into this. So one thing that is definitely something I could have done, but I didn't do, and I still don't do, is like lunch breaks, for example. So lunch breaks is a strategy in my environment where, and actually in the German environment generally, and in many environments, where people just like come together, they socialize, they do stuff like this. But for me in my listening, it was all very small talk and like, how's the weather like, or something very gossipy or whatever. That's just not my vibe. So I took an informed decision of not joining for lunch, like, with a big group or whatever. And even though this definitely impacted the way that I got closer to people around me and stuff like this, it's not wrong. It's just something like from my freedom, I chose this decision, I chose to take this decision. And so that's what I mean by informing yourself and like asking, okay, what's most important for me here? In terms of understanding the environment and dealing with it. And so when you understand, and people will judge because that is, you judge, I judge, like I just judged you in my brain. And that's okay. That's what the brain does. It's like, and my brain probably said, oh my God, look, cool glasses, bad glasses, nice hair, bad. I don't know what my brain said, but my brain said it. you know? And that's okay. Like people would judge all the time, right? And when you kind of like become okay with that experience and say, it's not personal, they're not personally judging me. And even if I'm the one standing, like, the one who's standing out or whatever, it's just curiosity, human curiosity. That's what causes people to judge. Now, whether when you judge, whether that gives you the permission to scream at somebody or whatever, that's not what we're talking about. Or to swear or do stuff like that are irresponsible to other human beings. That's not what we're talking about. But all we're saying is that opening up this environment is definitely gonna, and opening up ourselves to this environment is definitely gonna give us the space to create more informed decisions, basically. Yeah. So again, just to sum this up, there is like what happens in the mind and how do we feel, what happens in the brain and how do we feel about things around us. And then what happens in terms of strategy, in terms of what people are saying, what information are we getting, what results do we have. So when you have those two separate things and you kind of identify where is everything at, then you are able to create an informed decision, basically. Yeah.
I think I know why I didn't really talk to a lot of people in my previous internship was missing the lunch break. I also did the same thing. Now I understand. I mean, it makes sense. Definitely, yes, it does.
And and again, it's like whether you're okay with accepting the consequence of that decision or not, that's something that is very personal to you. But again, the more informed that you, in terms of, that's beautiful feedback. Thank you for that. Because most people would say, oh my God, they didn't deal with me. They didn't, take me in their team or whatever. But now you see okay, you just didn't understand what was in your environment and how you could tune into it. So now when you're informed, you are able to take a better decision. Good job. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
So like in our whole in our previous conversation also we have talked about the I like what is the challenge. We have talked about how we are feeling it. We have also talked about like the strategies, and we have also reflected. So we in total, like, we do have a better understanding of where we are actually standing in our current position. And now, when we have all this, what would be the solution part of it? Like, since now we
Yeah.
have like
Yeah.
information, as you said.
Fantastic. So, you know, the title of the live is From Struggling to Committed, right? So, sorry, to freedom. So it's really like now we understood a little bit more what could the struggle be coming, where could the struggle be coming from? What could it be? How can I deal with it? So now I want to go to freedom. And so, how can I take myself into that freedom experience? And that's what we say in the middle, you know, is always a support system. So when I talk about a human support system, there are support that you could take on two levels. So first, we talk about the expert support. That is the human being who's very well trained in listening and speaking to get your human experience. They're somebody who have been where you are, and so they know the pathway out in terms of strategy, you know, feelings, whatever it is. And yeah, they're basically somebody who are equipped to help you move from point A to point B. And so,
Mhm,
oftentimes, when we talk about the definition of help in the dictionary, when like what help means is to give assistance to, is to, I think, render support to
mhm,
something to be done. So it's really like whatever it is that I need from point A to point B is what the expert, like, you know, guides me through. And working with an expert always accelerates your result when they are a true expert. Now, what do I mean by this? Because I want to be super responsible. There is a lot of noise out there in life where people say, okay, we have studied 17 years of psychology, and you know, we will be able to take you from point A to point B. But the truth is that they have not done the work on themselves to move themselves from point A to point B. So at the end, what they have is a lot of information, but they have not integrated this information into their own human journey. And that's why they're not effective to support you to get out of the space. And that's, I'm not obsessed about coaching as just like, you know, something that I do for fun or whatever. But no, I'm 100% committed to like grow myself as a human and to develop my potential so much so that the next person who comes to my conversation is promised accelerated results and clear pathways to step into. So they just need to do the work, and then I will take their hands and stand with them on the other side. That's my commitment. That's why I pour so much of passion and energy into training more and more to walk the walk so that, you know, people have faster ways, basically. So in every area of my life right now where I feel like I want to unlock the next level, I just go hire somebody who's an expert who will help me get there faster, because I know that I'm a very busy person, and I know if I go out there without accountability and having somebody who does not have the knowledge, I just need to do it on my own, and somebody, you know, who knows the way. So instead I would be just like one step forward, two steps back, and stuff like this. I know that I'm not going to reach where I want. And that is not somewhere I want to tolerate any longer in my life. So I ask myself, okay, what is it that I want to be? Am I informed? Have I been coached into that area? No. Then let me hire a coach who will support me to, you know, clear my mess here and elevate my performance in that area. So I have, my coach for financial freedom, for example. I have my coach for side hustles. I have my coach for health. I have my personal coach, who coaches me on whatever comes from day to day in my business. So I am not saying that everybody has to have that. No, I'm just saying that it's great to have that human experience where you're supported in every area of your life. And if you're not able to do that because you have not created yet the career that you want to have for yourself in your life, that's okay. But if you start from this conversation to get an informed decision on what is it that I must create leverage, with or on or whatever, that pushes my life to have this lifestyle of freedom,
Mm-hmm.
then you will, like, elevate that. That is not a choice. Basically, it's just your choice. You've created that. It's not something that we can doubt about it. So really, the level of experienced support and help that you will get will definitely reflect on the results that you want to have for yourself and your life, and again, in your ability to choose the person who suits you best. And that's why I have, in my introductory coaching conversation. So when, let's say, for example, you want to work with me, but you're biased because you're an intern, but let's say somebody wants to work with me, like, they don't know if I'm the right help for them. I know that I'm the
Mm-hmm.
right help for them, but they don't know that. We don't know if we will vibe in terms of energy or whatever. And that's why I've worked to create a product that is like, they experience coaching with me, and then they go out there for 1 week, do the conversation, like, put themselves out there, do the actions that we have created together. And then they look after a week, and then they come back and they say, okay, this is for me, or this person's guidance is for me, is my style, or no, I find myself wanting to be with this other human being, and that for me is completely fine, because as long as you have a great life, I'm glad.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really like opening up the space for people to really understand who is qualified to be an expert. And something I told you in our training is that an expert cannot qualify to be an expert except if they sit on both sides of the conversation. So you're not an expert because you read freaking books. No, you're an expert because you have, like, worked so freaking hard, and you have sweat a lot of sweat, and you've given a lot of blood, and you've walked a very strong walk as somebody who's on the other side of the table, and now you're going to be able to walk me that walk. That's what qualifies
Mm-hmm.
you, from my experience, to be an expert. So we need more and more people to understand that experience, and to get that this is what an expert truly is. So that's the first level of support. So somebody who is an expert, who can take me where I want to go faster, quicker, so on, and with better results. Okay, the second level of human support is community support. And that's why we have this Facebook group. So I created this. There are so many Facebook groups out there, and I don't want this to be just another Facebook group. What I wanted to have for this is a true experience for people, and I hope I can create that, and you can help me, create and evolve that, like, where people just say their stuff, get heard, find jobs, have like a good experience of well-being, whatever it is, so that they experience this community support. And then as expats, we're not only at the level of necessities in Maslow's pyramid, we're not at the level
Mm-hmm.
of safety security. We are now restoring this level of belonging, and creating human connection. Because when people create human connection and they get close with each other, they can create miracles. When you and I know that our lives has like aligned together, because we, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, we are both vibing in the same vision. You have love
Mm-hmm.
for people, and that's why I chose to work with you. And I have a lot of love for people as well. And that's why how our visions vibe together. And so everything that you're learning from this conversation is going to change not only your life, but the life of everybody around you in terms of friends and family and stuff. And you could see already, from the work that we do and the reflections that you have. And that's what I care about the most. That people
Mhm.
get this experience of community and holding each other, getting information, establishing this human connection that then restores this level of well-being, basically. So yeah, it's expert help, and then there is community support and help, and those are the two pathways or the two stages of experiencing a solution, which is basically what it
Mhm.
is in a support system. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. We
Yeah.
did definitely had a call, but like I mean, we have been talking about, but I think now I also understand it more better, and I definitely I can see a clear vision for me also in contributing what I am coming, like
Nice.
what I am taking and whatever I've learned to the job that I'm supposed. I mean, I don't think this is a job, to be very honest. I think this is something that is very insightful. I will be
Yeah.
using that word. I know the meaning of it now. So
Yeah.
it is insightful. So that is
100%.
definitely I think it's a game changer for, I think, everyone. For me personally it is, and I think people who are listening also, this would be definitely something that they can take it from on, like from here onwards, or maybe reflect on it. That's what I generally do. That's my
Yeah.
key of learning, reflection. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Just one thing there, like people could see me at 9 p.m. and they would be like, oh my God, you're still working. I'm like, guys, yes, I'm still working because I love it so much. And that's what I really want for people to experience in terms of getting the right support in their careers. You can then, I did this in science as well. Like, I work really hard and I loved it. Like, okay, for the most part. Okay, so sometimes I would stay very long hours. That is not humane, but well, for the most part, I chose to stay there because I loved it and I was committed to it. And that's what's possible in terms of career, and also what's possible in having this balance. You create your own balance. You are the balance basically as a human.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
awesome.
It is reflective. I think that's something that I think I've just gotten a habit of it now. Whenever we have something, whenever we converse on something, I'm like, okay, how was I actually doing it? And now what can I change? And hopefully, fingers crossed, most probably in future this will be a more fruitful
Yeah,
thing in my life.
100%. I 100% agree, and I have absolutely no doubt about it. Yeah. Okay, let's see if there are any comments. No. Okay.
Um,
So let's see if there are any comments. I think there are no comments. Guys, you can paste in your questions if you have any, and we will make sure that we answer them. I think we don't have any this time. But let me just quickly say that, yeah, I so basically, if you want to share your experience, what we will do is after this live, we will send you a link where you could just post how you felt about this. You can give us feedback or whatever. Please do send us a message if you would like to be guided further in your career. Yeah, basically challenges or progression. However, it's like it doesn't have to be a challenge, however it's like for you. And I also want to strongly invite you to freely share whatever problem that you may be having in the community, so that You could just experience how it is like to get information. You could also post anonymously if you don't want your identity to be shared or whatever. I respect that a lot, and I care about people's privacy so much. So that's why I would really encourage you to do whatever it is that works for you, so that you go out there and open up channels of communication with other people. And if you feel like you need expert help, please let me or Vedika know, and we will guide you on how to book your first coaching call. And if you're new, we're very happy to have you in our small community, and hopefully one that is growing. Okay, so that's it for the first live. Thank you so very much for joining us. Again, please feel free to leave in the chat any topic that you would like for us to talk about next time. And we want you to know that there will be a networking event on the 25th. Where you will have the chance to meet other people in the community on Zoom, introduce yourselves, and learn from each other's experiences. So we would really love for you to join us, and we will create a Facebook event for it. And please feel free to join the conversation. And I promise this time there will not be technical difficulties, because that's something I often have on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, but it's gonna be on Zoom, so no technical stuff. I'm a master of Zoom, guys. Okay. So thank you so very much. V, do you want to say anything to conclude?
Yes. So first of all, I would like to thank the audience for taking time and listening and being with us. And I would also like to thank you for giving me this opportunity, the internship in or hosting a live with you. I think this is something that is very new, and like I've told you, this is, I would definitely see this as a process, and I will use the skills that I'm learning to improve it more better, so it could be beneficial for me, for you also, and your company, and definitely for the people in our community. So
Thank you so
yes.
very much. I got this. Thank you, V. And Islam wrote us thanks. So thank you so much, Islam. Okay, so we see us next time. Okay, stay tuned for the next topic, and please feel free to suggest other stuff, guys. Stay well and don't go have a great life, because you deserve one. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.